Just leaving uni late again. This is the busiest time of the whole 2-year degree. We are just editing. We're applying all the stuff that we've learned in the last year and a half to our graduation films. So I'm editing a musical at the moment. I can barely sleep for thinking about it. The amount of times last night. See ya. See you tomorrow. Bye. It's on the to-do list for things to do when you finish the degree.
Yes. Like I can see the smoke outside.
Uh-huh.
I can see from here.
Uh-huh.
Beyond that, no. So you were just like a blurry little thing with like a blue hat.
That's me.
I was like, who's that?
See you, mate. I'm not editing my YouTube videos at the moment because I'm editing full time. So you will notice that the uploads at the moment are just, unedited videos with a little date stamp somewhere. Kind of like putting a photo up. Because I don't want to go home and edit when I've been doing that all day. And that's just one thing that I've had to do to keep this sustainable. Editing is really tiring. I love it, obviously. I'm studying a master's of editing. And we've been editing for the last 2 years, but small projects, little exercises, things here and there in between classes. When you hit an actual big edit block where it's non-stop for me, it's going to be almost 3 months. It's a lot of decision making during the day, and things like what should I eat for dinner are questions that are just beyond me. I find myself sleeping 12 hours every night, unless of course I can't sleep. And like I was about to say before, I slept really badly last night because I kept having ideas for this edit, which is good, neat ideas, but I just had to sit up, write them down, lie down again, sit up, write the next one down, lie down again. I scribbled so many ideas down last night. Thankfully, when I read them over this morning, they were actually mostly good. But today I think I did an okay job of managing. I have been trying to do morning runs, but mornings is also when I'm at my most productive. So I've decided that's a bad idea. I brought my running gear in with me today, and when I hit a wall at about 3 p.m, I went for a run. Uni is right next to Centennial Park. It was a great run. I'm going to try to do that as my daily thing. Afternoon runs for when I've mentally hit a wall, just to wake me up a bit, give me a new drive to finish. It's 6:20. This is a pretty normal time for me to be leaving earlier than other days have been. But I feel like I finally, after 2.5 weeks, I've figured out a routine that works. So hopefully I don't burn out in this edit block. But one thing I did want to say is I've been reminded lately of the benefits of being curious and just really going down that rabbit hole for curiosity's sake. So the current musical edit has hit the point where we cut things to the way that the script worked. That's always the first thing that you do. But what lots of people don't realize about editing is it's not just sticking things together. You then step back and you look at it holistically, and it's our job to make the story work. No matter what the script says, we only care about the actual footage. What does the footage say? And the footage wanted us to start making not a different film, but a different structured film. Something that paces differently, flows differently. So there's been a lot of pen on paper brainstorming and dragging things around and changing the structure of the film. I'll just wait for the plane. This is real editing. Up to this point, it's just assembly. It's just copy-pasting, putting things in a timeline, ready to sit back and watch and see how it plays out. This is real editing. This is my favorite bit. This is solving problems. This is people who watch the film don't care enough about the characters. How can I make them care more about the characters? How can I set up, not punchlines because it's not a comedy, but how can I set up like dramatic punchlines? If something's gonna hit emotionally at the end of the film, we have to set it up at the beginning of the film the right way. I love those things. That is real editing. It's solving those problems and moving things around. And a big part of this project has been structure based, and I love story structure. And the reason why I love story structure was, a few years ago, maybe, no, more than 5 years ago, 6 years ago, more than that, during my music degree in my last year, my big project, my final graduation project for my composition degree was I was going to write a novel, and I wrote songs written by the characters in the novel. And the two songwriter characters had different musical styles, different approaches to harmony, different sensibilities, and I kind of wrote songs for each of them in their styles, like a whole album's worth. And I was supposed to write a novel and record the album, and I did demos for the whole album, and that was all I needed to submit to uni. And then my first year out of uni, I was like, well, I better write the novel, and I dedicated my time to writing a novel that I never finished. I'm a chronic do too much-er, and after months of working on it a lot, I also had gotten nowhere because I was working on lots of other things a lot. I released Kaleidoscope EP that year, put on a show in the backyard for it. I was at that point still pursuing a career as a film scorer. I had a part-time job to pay the bills. I was playing music for other people. I just was doing too many things. I think at that point I was considering pursuing photography as a source of income, like doing that professionally for events and things. Like, there was just too much going on. And I eventually decided the thing that had to go was the novel. Maybe one day. I still would like to be an author one day, but that's totally, back. Retirement, I can do it when I retire. That's not really retirement, is it? But I spent hours researching everything I could get my hands on. I became obsessed with writing. I'd always done creative writing as a teenager. In fact, this novel was an idea that I'd had as a teenager and had written little bits for, but I decided to write a novel for the first time, not realizing how different that is from a short story. And I was consuming everything I could find about the routines of authors, their different ways of writing, structuring stories, anything I could get my hands on. So much YouTube content. I spent so much time researching these things, I never actually just wrote the thing. But after years of feeling like that was a dead end, and isn't it a shame that I never finished that thing, and yeah, I don't know, it was like a failure to not finish that novel. All these years later, I started my editing degree and was in classes talking about story structure, and I suddenly realized following that curiosity down that rabbit hole had not been a waste of time, and never finishing that novel had not been a failure, because it has been so valuable for me to have a bit of an understanding about the principles. The details had mostly left my brain. I'm not claiming to be an expert, but I had done a lot of research 5-6 years ago into 3-act structures, 5-act structures. I don't know. I've just been appreciating that lately. So I just wanted to share those two things, that I think I'm doing okay managing this edit block. Took me a few weeks to get into my stride with it. I've still got a couple of months to go. Anything can happen. I will probably get sick with the flu by the time it's all over, because I've run myself into the ground, but I think I'm doing okay. And story structure's cool. Yeah. See you around.